talents of Jordan. Jordan is rich and wealthy with talents, nothing else. We don't have natural resources. We don't have anything else, but we have you guys. You're the future, and I have siblings to Farah. Also, I have 6 kids. 3 are millenniums, two Generation Z, and a young gentleman who most probably will be classified as Generation Alpha by McKinsey, which is a global consultancy company. A little view on Consult the Bankers. Consult the Bankers is a platform of mainly ex-bankers. Each are specialized in a different arena of banking. Banking is a wide thing, as you would know. There is retail banking, what you call as personal banking, commercial banking, corporate banking, investment banking, and so many other things. I think I have a chat from Farah. My camera is frozen. I'm not sure why, but I'll refresh. Hello again. Is the camera frozen again now, or is it working?
No, it's working fine.
It's working.
Excellent. Okay.
It's working.
So the group. I don't want to take much of time talking about, but if I have a share screen, then I can give you a quick intro to Consult the Bankers. Do I have share screen, Farah?
Yes, you can go ahead and share your screen. No worries.
Excellent. Can you see the screen?
No.
Hello? Okay.
لا.
I must admit I'm used to Zoom, so I'm trying to figure out my way here. Okay, I'll have to minimize this, and also I hope you can see it now.
لا لسه مش مبينه.
It shows team sharing your screen. So
استاذ رائد اكبس على جنب الميكروفون محل ما في ميوت في كبسه شير كونتنت you can click on it وبيبين عندك سكرين which screen you want to
sorry, okay. No. Next to the mic.
Next to the mute, yeah, mute mic.
Next to the mute. I did that.
Okay. Let me.
This is what I did. And again, it says your screen is sharing.
It's showing now.
Okay, and then let me open this again. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yeah, you can see Consult the Bankers.
Yes.
Okay, great. I'll go through this quickly because we have other things to talk about. Consult the Bankers is all about new age innovation backed by decades of experience from the team. Purpose is to improve quality of life, improve operational quality, and enhance, of course, that will result in enhancing bottom line, meaning enhancing the net profit of any organization. In total, collectively, we have over 150 years of experience. So far, we have 10 members. We are aiming for even 100. Expertise in many industries, 10 plus. That includes ICT. ICT is basically stands for technology, communication. We also have trading. FMCG is basically food, supply chain, medical, education, hospitality, oil and gas, name it. And we basically focus on, or we have 3 pillars that we focus on: startup advisory and funding, corporate finance. I'm not going to go to complicated things, but corporate finance does not mean only bank finance, but it could be issuing bonds, sukuk, restructuring of management, and so many things. We also are involved in mergers and acquisitions, which is basically companies looking to acquire another company or merge into another company, or someone is looking to sell their asset, and the whole process of that we handle as well. So this is the main name partners, the main 4 out of the team. Myself as a founder and managing partner. Ramil Karmi is well-known figure in technology and digitization. He's based in Jordan. He's also a professor in the HTU, which is Prince Hussein Technology University, based in the Business Park. And I have one of my daughters, Tala, my youngest daughter, is actually a freshman in the university doing AI, artificial intelligence. Amul is in digital payment, cash management, and payment solutions for banks and for large clients. Faris Ariqat is into investment banking. He is into placements and very much support also startups. You can see here the experience of the team, the 4 members, key name partners, where they worked and where we went to university. So basically, in a nutshell, that's us. That's Consult the Bankers. I don't want to make this boring. I want to make it interactive. So I'll jump into the subject unless anybody have any question about Consult the Bankers. Hello?
I think we're all good, Baba. You can go ahead.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, please be free to ask any question you want anytime. It's very important that you interact and ask questions. How many of you have a startup or know somebody that have a startup? And do you know what's the meaning of startup? Okay, in that case, I'll continue. What we will go through today, I'll just introduce you to what is a startup, the journey of a startup, what makes a startup, and what makes it successful. At the end of the presentation also, I will share with you, and I have the consent to share with you 2 samples of startups in technology in the region. One in the fintech arena, which fintech stands for financial technology. Nowadays, we have fintech, we have medtech, which is medical technology. We have edtech, education technology. We have proptech, which is technology related to property brokerage, and so on, and many others. So what is a startup? A startup is, to begin with, is not a permanent phase of any business. Businesses grow up, but it doesn't mean that the lifespan of a startup is only a few months or even a couple of years. Some startups would continue to be called startups for 5, 6, or even more years. It is vital stage for a business cycle, and it can be in any industry. Just like I mentioned, we have different types of techs. Fintech, proptech, medtech, and so on. A startup, when it first started, it tend to have few people. the number of people working in a startup, or the number of founders, co-founders, might start small and then grow. Because if you have an idea, but you're not a technical guy, you're not a programmer, you don't know coding, just like me, you have an idea, it is key that you have somebody with you who is in technology, and that's called CTO, which is a Chief Technology Officer. So if you are the one who started the startup, you will be the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer. But then you need the CTO if your startup is to do with technology. And I would advise also you have somebody with you who will play the role of CFO, which is Chief Financial Officer, somebody who knows finance, somebody who knows accounting, and somebody who will help you in your fundraising should you be able to grow. Again, a startup is a fast-growing potential. When there is a company, even as I said, even if it's 4 or 5 years old, if it still have a fast growth potential, then it's a startup. It provides a solution that appeals to a wide range of the population, mainly targeting Y and Z, millennials and Generation Z. If you take those together, we're talking about people that were born from 1982 till 2012. That makes Y and Z. So a startup is somebody who will address a widespread of appeal. It's either dealing with an existing problem, or is have a better solution for something that exists. What are the main characters of a startup? Of course, innovation. You need to come up with a great idea to begin with, and that idea have to be disruptive, problem solving, it's fast growing, and it's scalable. Scalable means I can grow this business and I can take it to other markets, different countries, and so on. You have mainly 6 types of startups. Scalable startups are built for rapid growth, like Facebook. All of from my days when it started, it was very small. Then it grown at a very high trajectory. Same thing for other apps. I can name many. Sometimes large companies have a startup built for innovation. They want to test the market. They want to test the product. They want to test the service they have. So they invest in a startup that will do exactly what they are looking for. And if that works, then they have it within the large corporates. You also have a social entrepreneurship startup that are created for to have a positive impact on the world. I have also another daughter, Ranim, who is working on a startup to do with femtech. What is femtech? Femtech is female technology. So she's working on a platform that will address issues and concerns of females, or be it education, be it career advice, be it health, be it family, and so on. So that's social. You also have viable startups, which are startups built with the purpose to be acquired by a larger company. For example, you all know Talabat. Talabat is a delivery company, but then something else came in this field of Horeca. Horeca is the hotels, cafes, and restaurants, which is cloud kitchens. I'm not sure if you've heard of cloud kitchens, but cloud kitchens is something that started in this region in 2018. And we have 2 very successful startups in this arena. Kutobi, their last fundraising was $450 million, which makes the value of the entire company more than $1 billion. So it became a unicorn. Then you have ICO, which was acquired only less than 2 weeks back for an undisclosed amount by a US technology and service company. The talk in the market is well above $700 million. and that company started only in 2019. So I'll come to how they raise the funds and what makes their value this way. But those create themselves, take ICO, for example, with the purpose of a large player to acquire them. Why would a large player acquire such a company or a startup? It's because they can see it complements to their objectives rather than investing and reinventing the wheel. They take something that is shown to be successful, scalable, and they acquire it. Lifestyle, as I mentioned, also you have, and I'll show you example today of a startup here in UAE called Counted. It's to do with lifestyle, it's to do with healthy food, and it's a passion for the founder. Again, the femtech I talked about and Raneem, that will also fall under the lifestyle startups. And then you have the typical small businesses, small startups that are created to fulfill the needs of the founder. So startups do not have to be a technology. Startups can be a small business and not only technology. Again, please feel free to stop me at any given time, ask me questions, and I love to have interaction with the participants in this presentation. Now, why would startups ask for funding? Sometimes it's required to do a prototype. Suppose they are a startup to do with robotics. They need the money to do a prototype, or even if it's any other product, but they need to create a prototype. They need money for it. They have the idea, and they could find an investor. It could be an angel investor, and I'll explain that later on, who will give the funds for them to create the prototype. They need the money for product development, team hiring, licensing and certification. And by the way, if you are thinking of having a startup, licensing and certification is expensive, and you need to do your homework before you take the step. Obviously, when you want to scale up, you need to do marketing and sales. If you have an office, not using a shared office, if you have an office and admin expenses, other admin expenses, then you need the money as well. Raw material, equipments, legal and consultation, which also is not cheap, and it's something that you need to take into consideration. So when you look at your idea, and you obviously need to think, what do I need to have this come to fruition, this to become life? Obviously, we talked about the team, but then also the funding that you require, and why would you need it? Some facts about startups. Startups are companies that are designed to grow rapidly, scale upward in different geographies. As I mentioned earlier, most of the startups' expenses exceed their revenue. And believe it or not, even the very large companies that you could know the name, like take for example Tesla. Tesla is not making money yet. It's not profit making. But the valuation is based on the revenue they make. Their net profit is a loss because their expenses is high still, because they are still developing more and more technology, and the shareholders are happy with that, and that's why the valuation of Tesla is that high, even though it's not profit making yet. It has revenue, and that revenue grows year on year. Oftentimes, startups are built around exit strategy. As I mentioned, sometimes it's created to be acquired by a larger organization. But any startup, any business you do, I would strongly advise that you look into what's your exit strategy. One of the common mistakes the business people do is they become emotionally attached to their startup or their business. And when time comes, I have, for example, under mergers and acquisitions, I have a deal now where a gentleman that's 78 years old, no children, so there is no successor, and now he's trying to sell the business. Sometimes it's a bit too late, and so that's my message to you. any idea you come up with, you have to include in your planning what's your exit strategy. And if I'm an investor and you're a startup, I will ask you, what is your exit strategy? Obviously, exit strategies in a startup end up for IPO, and this is only for the startups that make it till that level. But every startup, like Facebook Tech, for example, it's now IPO is a public offering, so their share is traded in the market. So ultimately, any startup that continues to grow will go for an IPO. Many of the startup
We have,
I have a question.
sorry, we have someone
Yes,
that
please.
raised their hand. They have a
Yeah,
question.
okay, please.
Yeah, Mr. Ride, I would like to ask you, based on your experience and based on the strong and professional background, what do you think as startups? What is the most common error usually startups do, and they fail at the beginning on their very first step throughout the business to look for investors and such? So,
A very good question. Thank you so much. The common mistake by many people is not having a plan, and not having a plan is planned to fail. And this is one of the things that I'm trying to address here. Do you have the right team in place? And I have a slide on what investors look at. Do you have the right team in place? What's your story? What's your purpose behind this? If you don't have a purpose, the why, then you're not communicating, and you're just telling me the how and what your idea will do. Then I don't feel your passion about it. Then I will walk away. If you don't have the right skills among your team, if your idea is not scalable, and many other aspects. So the biggest mistake is not looking into details. We get carried away with fantastic ideas, but then it's very important that you plan ahead. You know exactly what's your vision, what you're trying to achieve, and who can contribute to this. Some founders, and many fail because of that. They try and keep control of everything. No, you need to have technical people coming, like CTO that I mentioned, Chief Technology Officer, and you give them part of the business in return to their efforts. So they're not necessarily putting money into this business, but they're giving their time and their expertise, and that's valid money. So you need to look at that as well. Does that answer your question?
yes, thank you so much. Very informative.
Thank you. Again, as I said, many of the owners of startups are serial entrepreneurs. They are businessmen, and they've done. They went through the journey. They did started business. They flipped it, meaning they sold it, and then they invest in another idea, or themselves, or they invest in somebody else's idea, and that's what we call angel investors. And what they do is they start the business, they start the startup, and then when the ball gets rolling, then they get somebody else to handle the day-to-day responsibilities, because they are now focusing on something else. Now, few questions on what is a startup, and what defines a success, and that will continue my answer to your question. What is a lean startup? A lean startup is something that you do to experiment. If you remember, I told you sometimes large corporates create a new small startup because they want to experiment and test the idea or the service. What makes a startup successful is usable, unique product and service. Again, the innovation, the wow factor that need to be shown to me. Obviously, sufficient financial backing, because the burn rate here means and this is a music terminology because it's you will hear these things if you start your own business and you're seeking funds from investors. The burn rate is how much are you burning money every month when it comes to salaries, because you need to also pay yourself salary and the people who are working with you. And obviously, those salaries will have to be to the minimum and reasonable. Sometimes you don't until you start generating some revenue because you don't have enough cash and you don't have sufficient investors to actually support the salaries. And then obviously you have to have the dedication to make it and be successful in the business. What makes a good founder? Starting with a great idea, but also a passion, adaptability, confidence, and eye to details. Something that I mentioned also earlier. How long are you a startup? As I said, you can be called as a startup for many years, but the definition that majority use is if you have less than 100 employees, less than 100 staff. But no matter what number of staffs that you have, if you have high growth potentials and there is still a wide room of growth, you will continue to be called startup. To me, Tesla is a startup. So this answers few of the questions, maybe. Now we'll talk about the stages of startup funding. Ideation, again, if I'm an angel investor and I like the idea, I'll put money for you to start your prototype, for example. Validation is when you test the market, improve your concept. Your idea is, no matter what you do, from technology, from team, and so on, it's still an idea, it's still a concept until it's proven concept. So that needs validation. Early traction is when you want to increase your if you are a technology, you want to increase subscriptions, you want to increase the users, so you do marketing, and you need to spend money on influencers and on social media, and all that is an expensive business. Scaling is when you scale your business, whether expanding into different jurisdictions within the same country, محافظات تانية في الأردن, or you go cross border. You take the same idea and expand it to Saudi Arabia, to UAE, to elsewhere. And I have I'm a board advisory member for startups also in Jordan. One example is Yellow. Yellow is a delivery app technology. They don't have their own cars. They use the technology to direct to freelancer drivers and to small delivery companies. They are now existing in Saudi Arabia. They exist and they shifted their head office to Dubai. So that's scalability. Exit option is, as I mentioned, you need to have an exit for your investors and for yourself. So sometimes the money is put there, and I'll explain the stages of fundraising for an exit option. If you have any question on this, please, again, you feel free to stop me anytime. Now, if you put all that together and what we spoke to about so far, I now come to the source of funding. Bootstrapping is when you use the money that you generate from your startup, refeed it into the business because you want to build your company to a stage where you would decide then, yes, now I can introduce other investors. So you invest your own savings, your own, and I did that myself in the past, or capital, utilize resources that you already have to build your own business from ground. Raneem is doing that. Friends and family are the first people that you approach to invest in your business. That could be a loan, or it could be a direct investment. And I will explain what direct investment means, because you have something called, very common, something called convertible note. Convertible note means I will take your money now, but you will not have equity. You will not have a registered share. You will have a convertible note. Convertible note means there is a document that says, I've given you this money, and I will be entitled for equity based on certain valuation, and my money will convert into equity, or this convertible note will convert into equity, a share, registered share, a holding in the company, if certain triggers happen, one of which is time. So I put the money in a convertible note, and I will say maximum 18 months. After that, it will be converted to equity. Or I raise another fund round. So I came in at one valuation, and the money I put in as an investor help this business, the startup, to grow, which means the valuation for the next round will have, if I entered at a valuation of $5 million and you gave me 20% of this business on a convertible note for my investment of $1 million, the next round will be for maybe $10 million. So once that if that happens, automatically, before you sign with the new investors in the next round on a convertible note, automatically my convertible note will become equity. Is this clear? Because this is one of the confusing things for many people. So if anybody have a question on this, please ask the question. I can't see who's raising their hand because I have my I'm sharing the screen with everybody. But if you have question on this, it's very important that you ask now. Okay, in this case, I'll continue. Again, as I mentioned, the first people that you approach, other than bootstrapping, putting your own money, is friends and family, and they will enter at early stage. They enter in something we call pre-seed, which is the first initial stages of fundraising. And you present the case for them, propose payment terms, whether it's a convertible note or a loan. You have an agreement with them, sign it. Crowdfunding is another source. Crowdfunding is very well known now, and you have platforms that do cover crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is, if I have a startup, but I don't want to have at the beginning very large investors, I might go for choose the option of crowdfunding, rather than saying the minimum ticket to enter into this investment is $100,000. I will do a crowdfunding for $100,000, which means I'll open the door for people to chip in 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, and so on. That also you can find on the web and YouTube many clips that will explain that to you. But that's the idea of crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is getting multiple investors coming into one investment with small tickets. Then you have the venture capital, VCs, VC firms. The difference between VC and BE, VC is venture capital, BE is private equity. Private equities tend to have a clear mandate on what industries they want to invest in, and they invest in later stages, and they have a clear policy on what they can invest in, which sectors, which industries. VCs are, let's say, sector agnostic. They don't care about the sector as long as the idea or the startup have the characteristics of aggressive growth, scalable, cross-border, and so on. The VCs firm invest in startups, again, to gain profit, of course, and they go through phases of, I mentioned pre-seed. After pre-seed comes a seed investment. The round after seed is called Series A. Then you have B, C, D. It could continue, but usually from seed to Series A, I would say less than 20% of startups make it to Series A. And then obviously the percentage reduce as you go upscale. But after D and sometimes before the D, the IPO is there, initial public offering, which is being listed in the market. So that's a VC. Then you also have angel investors. Angel investors, as I mentioned, is entrepreneurs themselves. They made money out of their business, and then they go invest small tickets at very early stages of startups. Obviously, because when they enter at early stage and they continue to be there for Series A, Series B, that means the valuation of the company is 10 or 20x times the amount, the valuation they entered at. So if they put $100,000 and they continued on a valuation of $1 million, and which means they have 10%, and they continued with the business supporting them throughout Series A, Series B, and they ought to exit at that stage, then the $10,000 or $100,000 at Series B would have been, the valuation of the company would have been $50 million rather than $1 million. In that case, their 10% is 10% of $50 million and not $1 million. So their after return on investment, ROI, you have also very important for you to know, and we have that in Jordan as well. There is also a strong center in Dubai, strong center in Abu Dhabi, and DIFC in Dubai, and ADGM in Abu Dhabi. You have startup accelerators. They give grants. They give money for ideas. Basically, we sit as a panel of judges, and ideas and startups come and present their ideas and their business and their stages they reach to. And the last time, out of 400 startups that participated in an accelerator in Dubai, only 10 were chosen. And there they give them grants rather than investments, so no obligation how the money is spent and so on. Again, sometimes corporates do accelerate and do grants. One of the examples that I'm planning to show you today, a company called Expense is dealing with, it's a technology fintech, is dealing with the unbankable small businesses, created a solution for them, and they were now supported by, they were supported at the beginning by Visa. Obviously, MasterCard is acquiring Visa. So now MasterCard is working in with 7 times the amount that Visa had given them earlier. So that's what's called accelerators. Startup incubators, again, there are many examples of incubators. Is basically where you have a community-based program. We have incubators in Jordan. Again, incubators exist in the region, whether it's UAE, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and elsewhere. And basically, the incubator helps it also in mentoring, in providing initial funding, and giving training required for the founders and co-founders in the team. And in incubator also, the good thing about it is that you also interact with another startups. We interact with another founders, and you can see how are they doing and how are they dealing with their challenges, and what exactly they're looking at, and you share knowledge. We talked about grants and we talked about loans, but now because I want to jump to the examples. So now we look at, what do investors look for? If I'm an investor and you're coming to present your idea, your startup, your team, the technology that you have created, if it's a technology or a product that you have made and created, I look at few things. What's your journey? What make you come up with the idea? Why are you in this? What's your story? If you know what I mean, because I need to feel that sense of creativity and motivation and determination, the purpose, your journey. Again, what problem are you solving to the community, and how big is that audience that you're targeting? What's your objective? Sometimes it's not problem solving. Sometimes it's creating a need. Take Apple, for example. Apple, they don't follow others. They create needs. Before Apple, there was no touch screens. There was you can't go and just access Facebook and WhatsApp and all your bank account and your فواتير and all that kind of thing at the touch of a button. They created a need. We were living without a touch screen, but they created the need. I look at, again, I mentioned this earlier, I look at the management and the team. I look at the market size, how scalable and sustainable is your idea, because again, even if it's scalable, it could not be sustainable because somebody else, you don't have barriers for entries. Somebody else walked into and copied what you have, and again added more features to it. Who is your customers and who are your suppliers? And here I'm talking about your suppliers means if you are a startup that's not a technology and you have you opened a small shop, whether it's a restaurant or cafe or whatever it is, who is your suppliers and what's the dealing terms? And I look at competitive analysis in terms of what is there in the market globally, not only in the region, that can be a competition to you. And obviously, you have to do your homework if you have an idea and you have a startup. Before you even spend any penny in it, you need to look at what else is there in the market. Am I coming up with a new idea? Am I first to be in that field or not? Obviously, I look at your sales and your marketing plan. Marketing plan is very important, and where are you spending your money? Sometimes our investors will actually guide the founders or the team to actually increase their marketing budget because they're not convinced with the amount of money they put there. You cannot believe how much Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and others charge for such things. Obviously, then you also have the content creators, the influencers, so many things. And I look at financial assessment on this business and my exit avenues. Again, exit, I repeat again, it's one of the important things that you always need to keep in mind. Now, I mentioned.
I have a question.
Please.
Mr. Rad, I want to ask you, me as a startup person who's looking for an investor to invest in my, let's say, idea or a business, how me as a startup person would know if it's a good, if the investor is offering me a good business deal or he's just trying to take advantage of my situation?
Yeah, you shouldn't. By planning and by having the right team and seeking support from experts to help you, you should not be in a desperate situation. You need to avoid always. Don't approach any investors if you're not ready, because investors will ask you the tough questions. You need to know the valuation and you need to come up with reasonable valuation. Valuation is a full subject that we can spend 2 hours on, and I'm more than happy to have another session with you guys and talk about valuation. Maybe also include other partners from Consult the Bankers. But again, if you go back in the stages, I first talked about bootstrapping, you putting your own money. That's commitment. You have a skin in the game. That gives you confidence as a investor that you actually have a skin in the game. You then approach friends and family. That's how it happens, to give you some funds for you to start your traction before approaching other investors. And it's very important also you do your homework on the investor that you try and approach. Is this investor interested in this sector or this industry that I'm targeting? What kind of other investments do they have? Are they also mature and technically sound? Do they understand investments? Or they just think you are trying to create a business to earn a salary? That's the advice that I would give. Study your investor before you approach.
Well noted. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and if you thank you. And if you approach also consultants like Consult the Bankers, and there are many also in Jordan and elsewhere, we have a very lengthy list of investors, and we know which investors would walk in at what stage, at what level, and what sectors and what industries they would be keen to be in. Okay, and you can see in the last line that's part of the of your answer to your question. Most common pre-seed founders are founders themselves or friends and family as a start. Seed investment is the first official equity funding, and I explained about that a little bit. So that's your first official equity. It can be direct equity, and we call that price round. So why do we call it price round? Because you sit in the table and you showcase your numbers, your idea, your documentation, and we price it and say, no, your company is worth $1 million, not $2 million. That's direct equity. Convertible note, which I explained also, and you have different types of convertible notes. The most common ones are called SAFE, and the other one called KISS. SAFE is simple agreement. It stands for simple form of agreement. And KISS is keep it simple agreement as well. So, but most common is SAFE. Again, I explained, if I walk in now at $100 or $10,000, or sorry, the seed funding can be anywhere from $10,000 up to $2 million, even more. I'm working on a deal. The seed for that is actually $4 million. But most companies are majority would be around the valuation would be around $3 million, between 3 and 6. Yeah. Now after that comes Series A. Again, if the business has developed, proved and has a track record, established the user base, consistent revenue. Again, we're not talking about profit here. We're not talking about net profit. Investors look at revenue. So if you've grown and you started having a revenue, and your revenue is consistent and growing, then you would go for Series A. There is no rules as to what will be the period between a seed investment and a Series A. Sometimes it's few months. Sometimes it's a full year or 18 months. I know a case between the seed and Series A, there was only a time of only 7 weeks. And people who invested in this startup at a seed went out in Series A with 30x, 30 times the money they invested. The valuation of the company jumped by 30 times in 7 weeks. Series B is another round. It's at the next level. It's past development stage. You're already developed. You are expanding your market, your reach. You're going cross-border. You go for Series B. An average estimate of capital for Series B rounds are 33 million, and companies are valuated between 30 and 60 million. Series C, again, the development of a new product that you're adding, expanding to yet another new markets, or even acquiring another company. And that happens. Startups, and sometimes startups even acquire a larger company. If they have the right funds, the right investors, the right structure, why not? They'd actually go for that and acquire another company. And investors will put the money for that. Again, valuation for at the level of Series A, C is around above 180 million in that arena. So startup guide now, understanding this is, let's say, the summary of what we said. Is understanding your team, your idea, your purpose, approaching the right investors, having the right plan for growth, and targeting the right audience. Majority of ideas that come up now are mainly, as I mentioned earlier, targeting Y and Z. I showed you also the different stages of fundraising and the Series A and so on, B and C funding, and that, as I mentioned also earlier, end up to become an IPO, and this is the final exit. So thank you, and I'm open for any questions. From my side, I also wish to show you the 2 examples that I talked about, but happy to receive any other questions. Are you ready to see an example of startup?
Yes, why not?
Yeah.
We can.
Yes, please.
The purpose behind the examples that I want to show you is also a very important thing for you to know is your pitch deck, which is your investor's presentation. That your story, that's very important, and there are rules for it. I would advise that you go to YouTube. There is a company called SlideBean. The founder Kay has beautiful and amazing videos on startups, clips on startups, including how to make your presentation. And I'm more than happy to present to you guys again and address this aspect and how you guys, or what you should exactly how to create and build your startup. I will show you 2 different types. One is fintech. Again, I'll go quickly through this. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Excellent. Expense is as I said, mentioned earlier, is a fintech. It's triggering the small unbankable SMEs, the small businesses that are زي دكانة ومطعم وغيره, small ones that البنوك would not bank them, or if they bank them, it will become too expensive. So this is their audience. And they've been in the media. They've been in. They're one of the 10 that I mentioned earlier, been chosen for under the accelerated programs. This is their as I mentioned, their target. And they use the virtual cards as well as physical cards, prepaid cards for the startups to use. The app also has the entire accounting entry, so a system. So which means a startup, if they're using expense for their transactions, they don't have to spend much of money on auditors and on accountants to get their financials, because everything is in the system. And of course, they partner with many different other technologies. Again, quickly, it's a physical card, prepaid card, which means the company will transfer money to this card through their bank accounts, and they have it virtual. The company also can issue supplement cards for other staff, and there are controls over this card. So the company would tell expense that I want this card to be used in A, B, C shops only, and it's so they can tell which suppliers that they can this card can be accepted, and they can also specify what kind of products. For example, if I say this card can be used in a hotel, I can specify it can be used for dining, for accommodation, but no alcohol, for example, because I don't want my company doesn't want to spend money on alcohol. So the control mechanism is there, and that's very useful. This is the app itself, and you can see they can view all the team, their own team, the company I mean, who uses the services of expense. They can see each and every staff, how much they spent and how much money they have left in their account. They can see the whole charts created for them on types of spending. You can see here airplane, which is traveling, cars, maybe fuel, and so on. You can also see the issue physical card and as I said, virtual card. They can control how the money is spent and where is it spent. The users also, as I mentioned, multiple physical cards and multiple virtual cards, reminders to see if a transaction some details is missing on the transaction. Rich details, you can add a lot of details to the transaction as well, which helps in your accounting entries and to generate your financials at the press of a button. And you can add notes to receipts that you get. You can see you have an image of the receipt, so you also your archiving is also done digitally, and it's kept in a cloud. So there are many aspects for that will make this business or this idea strong and appealing to investors. So it's an open for all fintechs. It's a cashless society. It's definitely the right time for it because of COVID, and it helps the SMEs increase and SMEs are very important for any economy, and it increases the share of SME financing through banks because they will be dealing with banks as well. For oil and gas countries, Jordan is not. It helps in increasing the non-oil and gas contribution to the GDP, which is the gross domestic product, الناتج المحلي لأي دولة. Financial inclusion, as I mentioned, before this solution, many businesses, small businesses, were unbankable. Now they are. This is the team, the founder. You can see you have a CTO. This guy is from Lithuania. Lithuania is known for the technology, and he is the chief technology officer in this with expense. CEO is chief operation officer. Zain Ansari is the brother of Saad Ansari, and they both Saad actually had more than one startup, and was very successful in flipping some of them and make very good money for him to be able to invest in other ideas and of his own, and as well as others as well. So you can see it's very important that you have the right team, and then you can your team, you can have also advisors, not necessarily somebody who's working 24/7 or being part of your team. No, they're strategic board advisory members, and they are strategic investors who can also add and open the doors for other investors and guide you through. This is their journey, and this is the journey I talked about. I need to see your journey. You can see what they went through, the funds. This is a pre-seed, this is the grant, another pre-seed, and where they reached. So, and this is the licensing that they received from 6 markets. So this is just to show you what will be there in your presentation for investors. That's one example. Now I'll show you another example, which is not a fintech and maybe of interest to some of you, because it addresses healthy lifestyle and healthy food. The company name is Counted. It's a great idea, and we're supporting them because of the idea, to be honest. It's still at a very early stage, but basically, why do they exist? See, the first slide they put there is their purpose. Why are they there? Again, they used COVID, but you can see they are targeting Generation Z and millennials who are busy, lack the time to create healthy meals, but they're health conscious. Both Y and Z are health conscious. So it shows effective calories tracking, and I'll show you how. And it helps people who lack motivation to stick to healthy diets, because then they have a solution. Basically, what these guys did is they merged more than one thing to come up with this application. So you subscribe to healthy meals. They've actually signed up with restaurants, many restaurants that provide healthy food. They also have online nutrition and wellness coaching. You can buy a session. And they also signed up with 2 labs where home kits, you can buy a home kit to test your blood, on the and track your development. So if you're, for example, if you follow keto diets, there is a test for keto, and many others. Wellness coaching, as I mentioned, freshly prepared blood test for your biometrics, and real-time dashboard. You can see on real-time where are you. So you can see they started with why they exist, what is the problem, the solution, what exactly they're doing, and the different revenue streams they have. Because if you are a technology or a startup with a single revenue stream, you would not be attractive for investors. They need to see multiple streams of revenues, because if you are only one stream of revenue, then you are subject to another players coming and eating up from your market share. Then they went into the market size. So they're showing the addressable market globally, service addressable market, and obtainable market. So they're saying basically, out of this, we have 1 billion that we can target. So they created this app. The meals, you plan your own meal. You subscribe for a full month or a 1 week, and the meals, you can see that just like Talabat, but then it's from healthy, being vetted and checked health restaurants that focus on healthy food. Choose your breakfast, choose your lunch, choose your dinner, and then it will show you the number of calories in this meal, protein and fat, and so on. Then it goes and shows how much of intakes and how much did you burn. Why? Because the app also um, uh, um, syncs with the wearable devices like Apple Watch or Fitbit or any device that you use to monitor your burn rate and your activities. So with this app and the integration between the app and the wearable devices, you are clearly can say you see in details what's your intake and how much you burned. Obviously, you put your goals and you can see charts as to where are you. Again, as I mentioned, it can pick and take the information from any of the devices, and if you're not wearing a device, then it will pick it up from, if you're an Apple iPhone user, it will pick it from the heart app in Apple itself, and so to read your activity and how much of calories that you've burned and so on. The numbers that you can see here is not about each one. No, it is the size of the market of any brand of those globally. So you can see between 2006 to 2000 and projected 2022, it went up from 325 million units to reach to 1,105 units in 2020, projected to close the year with 929 million units in the globally. So again, it is the right target that they are approaching and making use of the of such devices and making use or servicing the needs of millennials and Z who are health conscious and they want to track their intakes. And I'm sure you know people just like me who even weigh every single meal. They have a scale, small digital scale, and they take the weight of everything that they take, they put into their body. So in short, the key health metrics is seamless tracking of your calories, food intake, again because they know exactly the calorie count, the protein, the fat in every meal that you choose, because they have that from the restaurants. The steps that you do, whether it's from your iPhone or from the device that you wear, and then they have your burn rate, time that you spent, the full details. That's the business model. They have different subscriptions for their clients. So again, competitive pricing, that's their secret sauce because they're in food, they called it sauce. Competitive pricing, scalable, very much scalable model, leveraging underutilized kitchens because they can go and create or ask restaurants that their kitchen is underutilized to do certain things for them, and logistic optimization. They're using obviously they're outsourcing that, but because you get if you subscribe to healthy plan, then you get your 3 meals in 1 delivery rather than 3 deliveries, and that will optimize logistics. And then they compare themselves with other meal providers, food delivery, and fitness tracking apps. Again, the idea of me sharing this with you is to show you what goes into a presentation to investors. I've been talking for quite some time, and I hope this was interesting for you. If you have any question, your feedback on the session, and I'm trying to get into the screen again.
Are you trying to share your screen again?
No, I don't want to share the screen again. I want to see you
perfect.
guys and activate my camera.
Guys,
So
do we have any
Thank you very
questions?
much for your time.
I hope this was useful for everybody, for you all. again, I'm there for you for anything that you need. So far, we spent an hour and 8 minutes. I think I covered the essentials and maybe more, but there is much more into it. You guys are young. You guys are very creative. You are. I like your purpose in the sense I'm talking about here. Rotary Acts and the Rotary Club, and you. I'm expecting soon to hear from some of you seeking guidance on your ideas or a friend of yours. Anytime the doors are open. You can always reach me through Farah.
Mr. Raed Abubaker, I think we have a question
Yes,
from
I can
someone
see
who
a
raised
hand
their
raised.
hand.
Yes, please.
Yes, go ahead. Guys, who raised his hand?
Yeah, it seems me. Just I would like to thank you, Mr. Raed, about all the information that you shared. Most of the information they are new for me, and you opened like the mind. If I would like to start thinking, like to start up something or like to make something new. So I would like to thank you for your time. That's it all.
Thank you very much, Anas. And it's great to hear that from you. It's the again, it's an eye opener, but you will find a lot on the web and on YouTube. I would encourage you to guys to watch some videos. I used to read a lot, but nowadays I rely on YouTube rather than spending many hours reading a book. Now I look at something, I just go on YouTube or on a website and ask the questions, and you find a lot of resources. Don't give up on your dreams. You are creative, you have ideas, and together you can make a difference.
Thank you so much, Mr. Raed Abubaker, for this beautiful and outstanding presentation on startups. I'm pretty sure, although some were not asking questions because they are very into the presentation and they're understanding everything in details. Personally, I would like to say that I got a lot of beneficial information from you. So I thank you so much for your time and your effort and actually from your busy time to present this presentation for us. And I'm pretty sure some will contact you soon regarding starting their startups. I'm pretty sure because I got a very good positive feedback so far.
Thank you. I'm always there for you guys, and I'm happy to be with you. This was great to be with you, and hopefully I've given you what you're looking for, and wish you all the best. Farah and team, thank you so much for organizing this and for your president. And I will definitely be looking forward for your feedback on your respective social medias or on LinkedIn.
Definitely, Mr. Raed. And
Thank
again,
you.
I would like to thank Farah for introducing us to you, and of course to our Rotary family and our VDRR, and actually all the guests and the members who joined this PD session. Thank you guys so much, and we are looking forward to see you again in our upcoming events. We will be posting them on our social media, and we will send you invitations on email and on WhatsApp and everywhere. Just expect us everywhere. And now
Sure.
I will now share. I will give the floor to Farah so she can say her final words, as well as our Rotary President, Mr. Yazan. Thank you so much, guys, and hopefully we can see you soon.
Before we conclude, I believe late Qatan, you had your hand raised. Do you have a question?
I wanted to ask Mr. Raed if he advises anyone to open up his startup, especially during this time of the year, during COVID and during what's happening at that time, or should we delay all that?
Okay, if you can see me, you can see I took my glasses off. This is the best time, actually. to do something. And in general, I would say read Rich Dad Poor Dad. Watch some videos about Rich Dad Poor Dad. Bad economy is what you see. We all have good economy and bad economy within us. So if I have good economy within me and the external world is having a bad economy, but I have a good economy inside me, then I can always spot an opportunity. There is always the best opportunities are at times of crisis. So this is the best time actually to do it. Don't have the bad economy inside you, because if you have the bad economy inside you, then immediately you see everything scary, everything negative. You will be reluctant to actually take the risk. You'll be reluctant to even talk about your idea. No, my comment, I'm not going to disagree with you, but my comment here is actually this is the best time. You cannot imagine the amount of startups that came up in 2021. India alone had 60 startups so far in 2022 that became unicorn. Unicorn means the valuation of the startup is over $1 billion. So imagine 60 in 1 year. Never happened in history of India or any other country. And many came from this region as well. UAE alone, you have in 2021, the ones I know is about 5 that became unicorn. And they started during COVID.
Amazing. No, thank you for your advice, and this was a lovely session.
And thank you for a great question.
Lovely second of it. Will you share the slides with us, or we can take them from Nabih or something?
I will definitely share it with Farah and or whoever, and I will no issues whatsoever. And again, I'm there for you if you have any questions, anytime.
Thank you.
Laith, surely we will get the slides from Mr. Raed Abubaker, and we will post them surely on, we will send them via email, whoever would like to have them. And of course, we will keep you updated, and we'll let you know about when we receive the slides and we can send them to you.
I'm still here, by the way, but my device turned off, so I'm here with Ali as well. So I just to finalize this, I would like to thank everyone who joined on behalf of our Rotaract Club. I would like to thank our Rotaract president as well, Nabih Mshirbash, for the effort he put into this, and our Rotary president, of course, Yazan Nafa, and all our fellow Rotarians who joined as well. Thank you. Protocol observed this time. Thank you, Mr. Raed, for giving the session, for your time. It was very informative, and we look forward to future sessions together as well.
Thank you, everybody. I like it when you call me Mr. Thank you, Baba. All the best to all of you. And again, you have what it takes to actually be something. So bring it out, and you have the support from everybody.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.